As you know, the United States football team got absolutely embarrassed by Japan. We couldn't run the ball, we couldn't utilize our good matchups on the perimeter, our play calling sheet was smaller than In-N-Out's burger menu, and if that wasn't bad enough, they also just wanted to win way more than we did. Whether we sent our best players or not, we shouldn't be able to accidentally scramble together a U20 team of players that could have even had the possibility of getting blown out like this. But that was just to play for the gold medal spot, which we didn't get. We also got to come out and play against Austria for the bronze, and let me just say this. Last video, I referenced World War II due to us playing against Japan, and I have the horrible displeasure of telling you that we, the United States of America, lost to the Axis powers, losing first to Japan and then to the birthplace of the bad man with the H last name, and I'm here to tell you how it happened. But if you watch the Japan video, get ready for some reoccurring themes. Now, right on the opening kickoff, we can tell that the US came to play with us just about as much ferocity as Brazil did against Canada, as we allowed a huge kickoff return. Then on the first pass, I think I could get more penetration by attacking an armored tank with a crown that our defensive line got on this pass rush, and we were just a slightly overthrown ball away from getting absolutely gashed on the first drive. But with the ball back in our hands, before the quarterback can even think to get to his second read, he's got two big Austrian dudes coming down on him like he owed them money. And here comes the arm tackling as I was ready to put a hole in the wall next to me, and apparently no one has the running back on a swing pass, but at least we got a good punt return followed by us actually throwing it to the perimeter, which I'm sure we're going to do all game, since we clearly have better athletes out there, right? Anyway, it turns out the USA team watched my last video as the holder calls his own name on a fake field goal, and would you look at that? Absolutely a free 2 points, even though it would have been easier to throw it to this tight end right here against this front. Then we get a good turnover, and you're thinking, wait, this game is actually going to be good for us. Well, that's what Germany also thought at the start of World War II, so don't hold your breath. Because we don't get a single yard, and an errant snap on a field goal later, we give the ball back to Austria right where they lost it. Now, prepare yourself to watch the defensive equivalent of soft-served ice cream, because Austria just starts lapping up yards with play after play of players out of position, jogging around on the field, arm tackling, simply giving up on plays. But we get the ball back with a 1-point lead, and we think, wait a minute, that's too much of a lead, as we give it right back to Austria with the easiest pick six you've ever seen, so we can now play from behind, which, despite not being something that we're able to win from, is exactly how we like to play apparently. Our running game is still looking more anemic than a 110-pound theater kid, and our defense continues to wet the bed like they've never made a tackle in their life. Does this sound familiar? Is this ringing bells to the Japan video? Because it feels like I was watching the same game. The only difference is our defensive line looked even weaker than normal, as the big Austrian offensive line gave the quarterback not just enough time to read our defense, but to get it translated into Austrian and then read it. They were able to score on another drive that made me want to put my fist through the screen, and somehow on a 2-point conversion where only 3 receivers were running routes and we had all of our defense on the side of the field where they're throwing it to, we still managed to let somebody get absolutely wide open, and he didn't even take contact after the catch, despite being surrounded by a ton of white jerseyed Americans. But when we get the ball back, we actually pass the ball, and when we do that, dare I say, we look good. We just waste too much time trying to run the ball when we have negative amounts of a run game. Luckily, Rhett, our kicker, gets back on his horse and tries to win this game for us, but in the third quarter, he tries to do it even more with a high snap, leading him to do a 360 in the end zone to bounce the ball off an Austrian player to get the ball back for our biggest gain of the day, even though it wasn't on offense. So, what do we try to do except run it 3 times in a row to no avail? And what happened to throwing a shot pass after some momentum, right? Like you get around midfield, it's a huge turnover, and throw it towards the end zone. But with how poorly it looked the first time, our coaching staff does their signature move by running the exact same play that didn't work, but this time to the other side. As, oh look at that, it's a fumble. But later in the game, after they punt it, Rhett is forced to punt again, and it's another high snap, and he can't corral it, so he tosses it out the back of the end zone for a safety. It's a great heads up play, but you don't want your punter to ever have to make this heads up play. How are we in a timeline where Austria is celebrating a safety against America? This just cannot be happening. What the hell happened to our country? And the rest of the game is just Austria daring us to make plays and us not making them. They turn it over, we turn it right back over. They'd give us a bad punt, we'd fail a fake punt. We weren't even down by but 13 points, and it felt like we were down 40. Eventually they do put up another pass to make it 32-11. And then the US starts throwing a deep ball. And would you believe it? We actually start to come back little by little. But then we start trying to run the ball again, and that doesn't work for us. Like, we can't pick up a 4th and 2. And this was sad until at the very end, Austria gets a punt blocked and we're managed to return it for 6, and then we pick up the onside kick. Holy shit, this is actually going to be a close game. Unfortunately, we can't protect our quarterback or the ball, as he is just constantly under duress. Even though they're only bringing a 3-man rush, he gets strip sacked and the game ends. A lot closer than it should have been, but holy crap, what just an awful performance by Team USA.